Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. Confession, I've tried to do this video once before, but I'm so hungover I had to start again. So you would have thought, right, that the Russos would be too busy editing Avengers 4, but no, they've got time to talk about Superman and how he's so difficult to adapt because he's so good and so powerful. You know what, lads? Focus on Marvel, focus on the MCU, and leave the greatest superhero ever alone as far as I'm concerned. But you know what? I'm going to talk a lot about how Superman is not difficult to adapt. But before that, I am going to read this. Right, again, I'm sorry, I'm hungover, so my words aren't coming out properly. Here we go. The more powerful a character is, the more difficult to deal with that character on a narrative level. Bollocks. As storylines and the way we explore characters, we always look for the vulnerabilities in characters because that's where characters become interesting. They're superficially interesting in their strength, but they get much more depth when you find where they don't have the kind of strength. In general, the more powerful a character is, the more tricky that is. You're talking nonsense, lads. Sorry about the awful American accent, but look, as a Superman fan, this really triggers me. I became a Superman fan after seeing Donner's movie as a 10-year-old kid, and that film, it's perfect, right? Let's look, no, I mean, I've reviewed Superman the movie on here. If you haven't seen it, it's on my library here, on my channel. But let's look at Superman the movie and how they do what we're talking about. Superman in Superman the movie has a vulnerability. One of those vulnerabilities in this film is shown to be Lois Lane, because when she dies, he breaks every rule to bring her back. He shouldn't have done that. He was putting the whole of Earth at risk, but he did it because even though he's an alien, he was brought up by human beings. So he will always put love before his mission. Now, that could be wrong. That could be perceived to be wrong. But because he's Superman and because he feels things, he can't accept one person dying. This is the thing with Superman. He can't accept one loss, and he's not going to accept the loss of the woman that he loves. But I believe he won't. He doesn't like to lose. He doesn't like to lose people. He wants to look after all of us, and that's why he is one of the gods, if you like. So basically, Superman the movie, that's his vulnerability, and obviously you've got kryptonite, but mainly it's his humanity that's his vulnerability. So they talk about vulnerabilities, but let me tell you something. I've been trying to write a Superman movie script for about 3 years. What I tried to do was adapt a Superman versus the Elite. Now, for me, this is the best Superman story to adapt to film. The reason for me that is because the Elite, Manchester Black, challenges Superman's no-kill policy and pushes it as a negative, because Manchester's saying, basically, if he killed his enemies, they wouldn't come back to inflict more damage on the human race. But Superman doesn't see it like that. To Superman, all life is precious, and anyone can be redeemed. One of Superman's great goals is to redeem Lex Luthor, but he can't. He can't redeem that character. But it's in his heart. He couldn't kill someone. Sometimes maybe he had... Look, in the comics, he's killed people before, or he's killed people from things that he's done. No one can deny that. We're not saying that Superman hasn't killed before, but in his heart, he doesn't want to kill. And we could go down the Man of Steel thing with the killing of Zod when he had no choice, because that's what David Esquire wanted to write. We could talk about that, but I always felt that kill was to teach him the value of life and make him feel a way that he would never want to kill again. Basically, killing Zod is the origin story of why Superman doesn't kill. So this is why I would love to see Superman versus the Elite adapted, because it shows everything that they say is difficult. It shows Superman, what Superman believes in. It shows his flaws. It shows his vulnerabilities. So Superman is no harder to adapt than any other character. But let's break this down a bit. They're talking about the more powerful a character he is, the more difficult there is to find vulnerabilities. No, because the vulnerabilities shouldn't be physical. The vulnerabilities should be emotional and part of that person's character. You can write Superman to be flawed. Superman wants perfection. Superman wants to keep every single person safe without harming said people who create these problems in the world. He wants everything. And I suppose in a way that's a flaw. It's a good flaw. It's because of his purity and who he's brought up with. He doesn't want to harm a hair on anybody's head, but he has to. He has to protect people, but he doesn't want to kill. So that doesn't mean he's never killed before or hasn't caused people to die. It just means his main primary objective is to get the job done without killing people. So him being too powerful isn't really an issue, and you don't have to dumb down that power or to depower him like some comic book writers have done. You just have to have the intellect and imagination to find the vulnerabilities emotionally. Because these guys are talking about physical vulnerabilities, but that's not important. It's not important that you find those vulnerabilities. And it surprises me these people are even storytellers with the way they talk. So basically, they're talking a lot of nonsense. But to be fair to the Russos, they're not the only ones who talk in these nonsensical terms. Superman isn't hard to write for. It's not the reason that really we've only had one or two really great Superman films. The reason is a lot of people who have tried to adapt Superman can't see it because they're the wrong people to write him. You need someone, I'm going to say it, someone like me who believes in the character. You get someone who believes in the character, who knows the character to adapt a film. I'm talking about Superman versus the Elite because I think it's the best way to actually take those issues people have with Superman and say, no, they're his strengths. And that's why I like Superman versus the Elite. I love it when Manchester Black actually thinks that Superman's gone freaking bonkers and he's killing the Elite and Black thinks that Superman's about to kill him, but he's playing them. He's got blood running down, he looks like he's unhinged. And then he reveals the truth. I never killed your people. It was all an elaborate fraud, right? I just wanted to show you what happens when you go this way. And this is how he defeats Manchester Black, by showing him his true nature. He's showing Black who he is. And Black realizes, he won't admit it, but Black realizes that actually Superman's way is the best way. If nobody has to die, then nobody should die. And what that moment does, Superman rises up higher than he ever has done before without flying, because you see why he's wonderful, why we loved him, and why he's been loved for over 75 years, because he has values. Now, he tries to hold those values. He can't always because of the situation he's put in, but his main priority is not to hurt people and to take people and cradle them so they're always safe, even his enemies. But that doesn't always work out for Superman. And in fact, that's another way you can do of writing him. His core beliefs on wanting to protect everyone, including his enemies, that's something you can put in there and sometimes can work against Superman within the story. So there are so many ways to write great Superman stories, whether it's in comics, whether it's in films or TV. I mean, we just saw Superman urinated on the Elseworld story, and I don't want to go over that again. These are people who don't love Superman. These are people who have got political things in their mind rather than storytelling objectives. And again, I don't want to talk about it again. My review of episode 3 of Elseworlds is there. You know I hated it. You guys must know by now I adore Superman. And when I read crap like that, it really triggers me.